So I can't speak to the specifics because I'm just not sure that's being done, by the agencies. But our law is very clear. We basically don't want people to be discriminated against. We want them to be able to live their lives regardless of their status on getting these shots. And part of it is people that have recovered from COVID have strong protection, and there's been the powers that be have refused to acknowledge that at the CDC and these other places. It's totally devastated their credibility. But we know people that have symptomatic COVID, if you're hospitalized and you recover, the chance of you ending up back in the hospital is incredibly, incredibly small. That's just the reality. And so you have a lot of folks that are in that boat, and I think also this should be a personal decision. So that's the law in Florida. And people need to abide by the law in Florida. You look at some of these other places, what they're doing, they're creating a system where just your operation in normal society is constantly requiring you to have to show different types of papers just to go in. And I object to that, period. But then guess what's going to happen? Then you're going to be in a situation where you may be fully vaccinated. Fauci says you should go get a booster. So what? They're going to say you're now unvaccinated unless you get whatever they're saying. And obviously there was a lot of controversy over that because the White House was pushing this and they didn't have the data to back it up. And the FDA didn't ultimately go along with it. And the CDC basically came in and overruled that. So you have all these things where, okay, what's someone supposed to make of that? And so we're going to make sure people are able to make their own choices. We're not going to discriminate against people based on those choices. And you're going to have a right to operate in society. I do think that we've been able to help save a lot of jobs, too. We worked with the folks in Gainesville. They were going to fire cops and firefighters and utility workers based on this. And you shouldn't lose your job over this. These are people that have been working on our behalf for the whole dang time. And now all of a sudden they're going to get tossed to the curb. And again, most of those folks, particularly those first responders, have recovered from COVID over the last 18 months and have gone through it. So it's nuts that we would be allowing that to happen. And so we've helped work on that, preserve the jobs in Gainesville. We've supported the Orange County firefighters, and now it looks like they're saying, well, we're not going to fire anyone over it, which they shouldn't. I believe that the Department of Health has issued fines for Leon County. They fired 14 Leon County employees, based on these shots. And again, these are people that presumably have been serving throughout this whole time, and now all of a sudden they're basically getting kicked to the curb, and so that violates state law. I think the issue is going to be now looking at the private sector. Biden announces this mandate on private employers. What was that? That was like a month ago, a month ago, and it hasn't been issued yet. And I think the reason it hasn't been issued is because it's a definite loser in court. We're prepared to contest that immediately. I know other states will do it as well. But you're in a situation where you're going to force the businesses I talk to need employees. They want to hire. So now you're in a situation where you may be forcing them to fire employees. Why would we want people to be out of jobs? It's totally unacceptable. But I just think what's happening in the private sector is I think some of these businesses are scared of the feds and they think that they need to do that. And I think every worker, not just police and fire, but I think every worker should be protected from losing their jobs over this. This has become a political issue. Unfortunately, this has become about politicians wanting to control people. And why would you want to see people lose their livelihoods? And the place where this is the most outrageous is with the hospital workers. These are nurses that have been working this entire time. Again, most of them have probably already had COVID and recovered. And now they're going to lose jobs at a time when the healthcare system has been short-staffed for the last year. And we just went through a Delta wave. The hospitalizations, the admissions go up. What's going to happen in the north? You're starting to see these cases rise. Unfortunately, I think you're going to see a wave there. Are they going to just do this shorthanded without those folks? So, I think that we need to, in Florida, we should be providing protections. I think you need the legislature to pass a law. I don't know that that it can be done unilaterally through executive agencies, although we'll look. But I think you need a law to be able to just say, you shouldn't be terminated for this reason. And I think that would put a lot of people give them some peace of mind. There's also people, you look, you have a certain class of people that are vaccinated, they took it, they wanted to do it, but they object to these mandates as well, and they believe that it should be their own choice, and they don't want other people to be kind of coerced into doing it. So I think the coercion is just totally wrong. I think it's destroying trust in public health to the extent that there was still trust left over after all the stuff that's been done. But I think it's really, really negative, and I think you're going to end up driving people away who, if you were more reasonable and a little bit more, I think, cooperative, they may have been willing to do it. But instead, the minute you threaten, I think a lot of people just say, forget about it. So I think this whole thing has been really problematic. But my bottom line is this: whether you're working for the police department, the sheriff's department, the fire department, whether you're working for a small business, a large business, I don't think you should be fired over these shots. I just don't. I think you need to be protected.
Governor, I have an unemployment question. I'm not sure who would like to answer this, but we're getting a lot of viewers who...
Well, we got the guy right here, so go ahead.